I'm Patrick Kober from Liberty Center, Indiana. We farm and live in west central Wells County. We own and operate Kober Family Ag. We're a fourth generation family farm.
And I'm Joe Kober, Pat's dad. I started farming for a profession in 1974 and just retired 3 years ago, supposedly, but I still help a lot on the farm. So I took over from my father. He was born in 1926 and he farmed his whole life. And then it goes back to my grandfather and my great-grandfather. So we've been here a long time. So.
I took an interest in farming, I think, from the day I was born, I'm pretty sure. I did a lot of carpet farming, had every tractor you could think of, almost all green. So we've kind of kept that tradition alive around here. But I've been fortunate. I've never really wavered on what I wanted to do with my life, and that's kind of unheard of for a lot of people, to know what they wanted to do from, as far back as they can remember.
And Patrick probably got a lot of that from me also. I was similar to what he grew up as. I always wanted to farm, so I was glad that my father let me come into the farming operation and was grateful to him. So, and then Pat came along and we were glad to keep that business going.
My role, I am the owner, and now that Dad is retired, I'm the sole owner with my wife, Sarah, and my 3 boys. I make all the day-to-day decisions and kind of manage, where people need to go and what needs to happen. Dad is retired, but he does still help a lot, probably a lot more than he wants to most days. But so I pretty well solely handle most of the major decision making, and my wife Sarah is always there to support me when I need a second opinion, it seems like.
I started probably with my father farming, and I don't know this exact number, but between 600 and 800 acres. And we split, a lot of that ground was farmed 50-50 on a share basis with our landlords. And that was quite a bit earlier than when the cash land rent came about. So, there wasn't a lot of land to be farmed at the time. We sold a lot of corn for $1.20 or $1.25 at the time, and beans were, $4 or $5. So, in relationship to what we were putting in to the crop, though, that was pretty good. We made it work. The first new tractor that my father bought was a 1970 4020 diesel, and he bought that from Steffen Implements in Bluffton. The tractor, I still have the original invoice for that tractor listed for the total. He bought the 4020 tractor. It had a cab on it at the time, and he bought a 5-bottom plow, and it listed off for a little over $13,000. And then he traded some equipment in, and his total cost to buy that new tractor was around $8,700. We still own that tractor. We had it refurbished about 3 years ago, and so it still is on the farm. It doesn't do a lot of work, but we grade some driveways, and I take the kids rides on the tractor occasionally.
We've been John Deere. I think maybe you ran, I remember when I was a young kid, you had an International Combine. Mm-hmm. I think you bought a 9500 John Deere Combine brand new, and that was the first one that you'd bought, I think, and I was in first grade.
It was a 92.
Yeah. And I remember that because I had the pamphlet, that the John Deere dealer sends home, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I took it to school and had it at school with me. So I was pretty excited when he finally bought a John Deere Combine. But it's been pretty well green ever since then. We've seemed to grow the operation in strides. It's never been big chunks at a time. It's little bits at a time. Whether it be buying land or renting land. We've got a really good group of landowners that we work with. And so we've just kind of grown steadily over the years. And we try to take care of the land. I mean, we push for high yields, but we try to do that from the ground up, I guess I would say. and you know, Grandpa was very, very good at trying to take care of the land, and did a lot of tile work and a lot of, you know, wanted to get rid of fence rows and that kind of stuff. And we've kind of, you know, Dad took that forward, you know, as he moved into him farming, and then, you know, as I've gotten older and we bought a tile plow 10, 12 years ago, and so now, I mean, whether we own the ground or we rent the ground, we seem to put a lot of tile in every year. So you want to answer this, or you want me to answer this?
When Pat first started farming, and then Sarah came along and they wanted to get married, my parents always thought that your kids shouldn't live close to you. They thought they should be away so you couldn't see the day-to-day happenings, what was going on with what their lives were about. I kind of disagree with that. We love having our grandsons here all the time, and we get to work back and forth, and we're just close. I mean, it's just, that's what I think our family is. We're just close together. The high interest rates, you know, trying to, you know, keep going farming, buying equipment, I think that was a struggle and a challenge for all the farmers in our area, just because of the fact that, you know, grain prices weren't that high to take care of the interest rates. So that was probably the biggest struggle starting. I mean, if there was something you could go back and do over, why didn't we buy more land for the price of what it was? But, you know, we just were, I grew up with a conservative family, and we were all very conservative. My parents grew up during the Depression, and, you know, they just didn't have a lot. So I grew up kind of conservative in that way. It's grown better, and we know what we're doing now. And Pat is a little more, he knows what he's doing, and he's going after it, and he's not waiting sometimes. And I think that could be an issue for the older farmers, you know, not just going ahead.
Well, you know, understanding agriculture can be a double-edged sword, and, you know, sometimes we can be our own worst enemies, I think, especially in the media and stuff. But I think the one thing that a lot of times it feels like farmers want to play a poor me story. You know, nobody's had it as hard as we've had it, and I guess I don't believe that, and I've grown up in a different generation than my dad has. So, I mean, times have been different, and things are way different than they were 50 years ago, or, you know, even 30 years ago. But I'm proud to be a farmer. We're very lucky. I mean, to be the 1%, you know, to be able to do what we do every day and provide and make a business out of it and try to be successful. Because at the end of the day, this is a business, and we're no different than any other business. There's obstacles, and you have to be able to manage around them, and we know what they are. I mean, every year it's not like it changes. We know what our obstacles are and what our risks are, and we have to manage around that. And it's no different than any other business. So
when you get out of this area and you get to the metropolitan area, and they hear that you're a farmer, sometimes I was brought up that they all think you're wearing bib overalls and you carry a pitchfork, and, you know, we're just like everybody else. We get out, we play golf, we go on vacations. It's not that farmer. I'm gonna how you want to say that, but it's and you know, we grow their food. That's what they do, and, you know, God put some of these animals on the earth for us to harvest and to maintain our physical health, and I think it's hard for some people to understand that.
If your love is to, you know, be a traditional corn and soybean farmer, and it does take a lot of land, it takes a lot of resources, you know, to get to that point, I would challenge anybody that wants to get started is go find the best farmer that you know of, or that you look up to, and want to work for them. I mean, there is no better way to start farming than, you know, to follow in somebody's footsteps that is successful and you look up to. And then if you can get a hold in that operation, and, you know, maybe they don't have a son or daughter that wants to farm, and maybe there's opportunity for that person down the road. But you know, I mean, I think there's people that can literally start from nothing, but I think in reality, if you want to get started, there's plenty of farmers out there. you know, that aren't fortunate enough to have somebody to hand it down to, and that might be looking for somebody. And so I think there's opportunities if you just, you know, keep your eyes open and, you know, just find somebody you look up to.